Hi, everyone. I wanted to follow up with our class today by providing you with sort of an outline for how to decide if something is an observation, a hypothesis, a law, or a theory. So I made a little flowchart. I'm a big fan of flowcharts that hopefully will help guide you as you decide. So the basic flowchart starts with the question or starts with the idea. All right, we're going to read the statement and we're going to decide if that statement is an explanation or is it simply a statement or a summary of something? So does it explain or does it simply state something? If it explains something, then that's either a hypothesis or a theory. Whereas if it's simply a statement or a summary, that's going to be either an observation or a law. So just that first question is going to allow you to cross off half the choices. So we read the statement and we decide it's an explanation, for example. So we know this is either going to be a hypothesis or a theory. In that case, to decide between these two, we can ask a second question. Does this apply one time or a limited number of times, or does it apply all the time? If it only applies a limited number of times, that's going to be a hypothesis. That's an explanation that applies on a limited number of times, just once or maybe a couple times on a limited number of experiments. If this is a statement that applies all the time, then that's going to be a theory. This is also an explanation, but this is something that is widely true and is accepted by the scientific community. So that's the main difference between those two. They're both explanations, but one applies once, the hypothesis, whereas the theory is a widely true statement that applies, is widely applicable and is agreed upon by the scientific community. On the other hand, let's say we have a statement or summary. So we've narrowed it down. Okay, it's just a statement of what happens. It's either an observation or a law. Once again, we ask that same question. Does this refer to one time or is this always true? If it refers to just one time or a small number of times, that is going to be an observation. So this is a statement, but a statement that only applies once or a couple times. If this is a widely true statement and widely accepted by the scientific community, that is going to be a law. A law does not explain why. It is simply a statement, but it is widely considered to be true. So let's try and use this little flowchart in action on the examples that we did in class today. So let's start with the first one. My truck's gas mileage has dropped significantly. So I'm going to go with my first sort of prompt here. I'm going to read the statement and decide, is this an explanation or just a statement? My truck's gas mileage has dropped significantly. This is simply a statement. There's no explanation implied here. So since this is just a statement, it's either going to be an observation or it's going to be a law. So statements are either an observation or a law. So now I can ask that second question. Does it apply just to one instance or all the time? Since this is just my truck, it's not everyone's truck, it's not always true. This is just really a one-time scenario. So that's going to make this an observation and not a law. It's just a statement and it only occurs once. So it's going to be an observation. Okay, second example. My truck's gas mileage has dropped significantly because it is due for a tune-up. So first question, is it an explanation or simply a statement? The key word here is because. Because tells me that this is an explanation. It is trying to explain something. So I know automatically that this is either going to be a hypothesis or it is going to be a theory. So then I just have to ask myself that second question. Does it apply one time or does it apply all the time? Once again, I see my truck, that's just a one-time thing. It's just my truck. It's not everyone's truck. And a one-time thing is a hypothesis. That applies to just my little bubble. The theory would have to be all trucks, trying to have an explanation for that. So in this case, this is going to be a hypothesis because it does attempt to explain, but it's a limited number of occurrences, just really my truck, and that's what makes it a hypothesis. All right, next example. All life on Earth has evolved from a common primitive organism through the process of natural selection. So this is a little bit of a trickier one. So we can say, all right, do I believe this is an explanation or is it simply a statement? So if we read this, it's telling me all life on Earth has evolved through the process of natural selection. So it's trying to explain how life changed from a common primitive organism through its current form, and it's through this process of natural selection. So this is an attempt to explain the process of natural selection is what caused all life on Earth to evolve. It's explaining, so therefore it is going to be either a hypothesis or it is going to be a theory. Then we say, okay, is this a one-time or an always true thing? And here we focus on all life on Earth. This is a widely true statement. All life on Earth is being encompassed in this statement. So in this case, it's going to be a theory. This is a widely true thing. It's not going to be a hypothesis because that would only be limited to one occurrence. The theory is widely true explanation. So this is going to be a theory, and it's the theory of natural selection. Okay, right, so hopefully we see the pattern. We first decide, is it an explanation or a statement? And then we decide once or all the time. So we'll do one more example, this fourth one here. The pressure of a gas is directly proportional to the temperature of the gas. So first question, I ask myself, is it an explanation or a statement? There is no attempt to explain why the pressure and the temperature are proportional. It just is. So there's no explanation here at all. This is simply a statement. These things are related. Since this is a statement, this is either going to be an observation or a law. So then I ask, is this just true one time or is this always true of a gas? And notice it's not a sample of gas. It's not during this one experiment. This is just a statement. The pressure of a gas is proportional to the temperature of the gas. So this tells me that applies to experiments that have been done in the past, and that applies to anything that happens in the future. If I heat a gas up, the pressure of it is going to increase. So that's what makes this a widely true statement. It's not just narrowed down to one instance. It's saying this is always true of a gas, and therefore this is a law. All right, so I hope this helps clear this up a little bit, that if we go through these two questions we ask ourselves, we should be able to figure out if we're given a statement, is it an observation, a hypothesis, a law, or a theory? First question, is it an explanation or a statement? Second question, does it apply one time or does it apply all the time? And using those two questions, you can narrow it down to one of these four terms that we see down at the bottom here. Okay,